There is a sucker born every minute, even in the church. One of the things that just absolutely bothers me is how we kind of give a guilt trip in some churches to people about giving. I don't think that you should, or as a matter of fact, I believe that God is going to deal with you accordingly. Now, we're going to listen to this and this particular person. People have asked me to look at this person. Never heard of him before, or maybe I have, just didn't think anything about it. But this person, John Hannah, don't know much about his preaching. But I happened to catch the end of a sermon of his, and at the end, he is doing announcements, but also taking up offering. Now, I'm not going to get too much into the tithes and offering part, the tithes part, though there is no tithes that's required for us to pay. That part is clear, and I don't know why you can tell people that, I don't know how many times, and they just won't listen. Fine. If you want to pay a tithe, fine. If you want to pay 15%, if you want to pay 8%, 32%, doesn't matter to me, but you should not be compelled to do so. We'll go to the passage in just a second, but I want to listen to him and listen to how you guilt someone into to giving, and you do so subtly. I think that is a huge problem. As a matter of fact, I know it's a problem, and it's ungodly, it's unbiblical, and it's sinful.
I want us to get our tithes and our offering in our hand. It's the last Sunday of the first month of the year. And I do believe that many of us have been called to sit in a seat to be kingdom sponsors. You will sit in a seat called wealth, although you were born in poverty.
That part I don't like, when you preach to people who might be largely in poverty, and then you use these buzzwords, sending a seed, as though you're going to be planting something, because everyone knows the whole concept. You plant something, something comes back, including your money. And because they are in poverty, or maybe impoverished right now, they don't want to be there, because who likes to be poor? But God is going to determine something to be better than for you to be in poverty. That's a preacher playing with a person's mind and their heart, tugging on their heartstrings, tugging on their frustrations about being either poor or not having enough.
Why? Because you're the curse breaker. How many of y'all know that you're already living better than what you grew up in? Your kids will never go through what you've been through. Why? Because you're the curse breaker.
You simply cannot make that statement that someone's kids will not go through what you've gone through. And there are people in the audience who are not living better than they did when they grew up. That's just the truth. And that's kind of how it's always going to be. We're in a fallen world, and everybody is not going to be rich. As a matter of fact, Jesus says, the poor shall you have with you always.
I want us to get those of us that are tithers, we don't even beg for that. That's just it. But I want you to sow a seed, and it's the seed of expectation. Can I give you 4 seeds, and you decide which one you're going to give? What I love about God, he'll never ask for what he didn't give you. He'll give it to you and I say, now let me get that up off of you. He doesn't wait until you get to your Canaan to ask for an offering. He asked the children of Israel, bring me your offering in your wilderness. Where did they get it from? He made the Egyptians turn over their plunder. God will put a seed in your hand and say, I gave it to you for me to build kingdom.
And by the way, nothing that he said is biblical. It's just that, first of all, when they gave, what did they give for? And so ask him, what do they give for? Because in that time when they were given, and you had the children of Israel divided, who were their offerings or their tithes to go to?
It's either 24, 48, listen carefully, 72 or 96. 24, 48, 72 or 96. Out of those 4 seeds, which seed did God trust you with? And I need you to call this my seed of expectation. This is my seed at the end of the month, at the top of the year, and I'm sowing into my whole year. You can text NOC SE to 91694. You can get the QR code. If you write a check, make it out to NOCSE. But everybody get a seed in your hand. What is this? This is my seed of what? Of expectation.
So whatever you expect to get, that's what you should sow into. I expect, and it's not what you really expect, it's what you want. And so it's a way of guilting or shaming someone into give, and it's based off of greed. I know that full well, because there was a time I bought into that, and I would sow money, so to speak. I would sow a seed into the ministry, hoping, wanting, even expecting to get something back. But what I was sowing was actually bill money. And when you go home and the lights don't come on, I can promise you the light company or the phone company doesn't care that you sowed that money into someone else's ministry. They will make sure that you sow a seed back into this bill the next time. Why? Because if you want these lights on, that's the only way you're going to get it. But because you were greedy and you want something else rather than taking care of your obligations and to be financially frugal and responsible with the money that you do have, you'll go and kind of usurp or jump what God actually prescribes for you to do, and then give this. It's almost like it's a gospel lottery.
Hear me loud and clear. Your job is not your source. Everybody that's retired, I need some words that never come out of your mouth again. That I have a fixed income. Don't you ever let that come out of your mouth again. You just cut your own blessing off, because he's about to enlarge your territory. And there's nothing fixed about you. I felt that thing.
Well, of course you felt it, but my question is, if anyone doesn't get what you tell them they're going to get, if their territory hadn't been enlarged, can they come back and get a refund? Can they come back and get what they gave based on the false promises that you gave, based on you saying that this is coming from God?
He'll make somebody walk up and bless you every month. Everybody that's going to sow that seed of expectation, I want you to lift it up and I want you to begin to worship God for like 10 seconds based upon your expectation. Based upon your expectation.
Now, the reason why people do this is because you create an atmosphere where others are doing so. First of all, you don't want to be the person that's not doing so. You don't want to be the person that's disobedient. And when others are doing it, you don't want to be the person that's not doing it because you don't want to be the odd man out. Well, let's go to the scripture. The scripture is pretty clear. 2 Corinthians 9:7. Now I say, he who sows sparingly will also reap sparingly, and he who sows bountifully will also reap bountifully. Now, there's many ways that you can go about doing it. And the question is, what is sparingly and what is bountifully? Well, let's continue. He says, each one must do just as he purposed in his heart, not based on what the pastor said or some guilt trip or some sort of expectation of getting some things. Because if you do so to the flesh, because that's what you're doing. If you're sowing because you want to get something for yourself, that is sowing to the flesh. If you're giving money to the ministry because you want that ministry to flourish, that's different. But what he's telling people, and what you see many others do, is say sow so that you can get something back. Even though you're giving to the church, you're doing so because you're sowing to the flesh. You want something for yourself. And he says, for God loves a cheerful giver. This word hilaron is where we get the word hilarious, a cheerful giver. And God is able to make all grace abound to you, so that always having all sufficiency in everything, you may have abundance. In other words, he's going to take care of you whether you think you have enough money or not. But notice what he says. So previously, he says, do not compel someone. No one should be put under compulsion to give, even if you do it subtly. And that's the problem. We have people that do it subtly, or who want to tickle your ears, tickle your heart, or to tap into that financial frustration. Reject a person like that.